Across All Galaxies pre-show. My name is Matthew Lay, and I am going to be your host. Just under 30 minutes from now, from this studio, the Across All Galaxies team will be doing something pretty innovative and pretty risque. They're going to be doing a live 30-minute portion of their movie for your pleasure, viewing pleasure this evening. So anything that epic needs a pre-show, if not for a little bit more hype, but also so that for those of you who are joining the Across All Galaxies universe for the first time, you can learn a little bit more about the people behind the show and about the program itself. So what is Across All Galaxies? Well, right now it's an idea for a movie that with your help is going to get made very shortly. The premise, this is a sci-fi movie, and the premise is it's a show within a show angle. There's a late night radio broadcast hosted by a gentleman by the name of Topher Kettlestone. Now, Topher's got millions of listeners, and one of those listeners, a young man named Lewis, who's a true believer. He believes aliens really are among us, has a bit of a fanboy, and is trying to get a job on the show. When he finally gets a job on the show, he is so disappointed to find out that Topher is not a true believer at all. In fact, Topher is a non-believer and thinks this is all just, stuff that people are making up, and it's all made up and tomfoolery. So that's when the real madness in the movie ensues, because Topher goes missing, and Lewis and Topher's daughter, who's a producer on the show, Missy, they go out and they have to try and find him. Now, was he abducted? Is that what happened? That's what the show is all about, or the movie's all about. So to get you started, the first piece of the Cineku competition, the first thing that they uploaded was a trailer for the movie. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll that trailer for you now so you can get a feel for what the movie's all about.
From across the desert and beyond the Rockies, or wherever you might be, good evening and good morning. You're listening to Across All Galaxies. I'm Topher Kettlestone. For the next 2 hours, I'll be your comrade, your cohort, and your host as we hear first-hand accounts and stories of everything that goes bump in the night. Unlike other radio shows, we're no puppet to any one world government. We only speak the truth. We fight for those voices that can't be heard. We shine light into the darkness of the unknown, and we give truth to those who seek it. Now, the only truth I'm sure of is that anyone listening to this program tonight is not getting laid.
Oh. I talked about a competition, Cineku, that this movie is a part of. So what Cineku is an opportunity for young independent filmmakers in Canada to dream big. Dream so big, in fact, that if they win the competition, they get $1 million in funding to make a movie. And the way that it works is that there's a series of missions on a weekly basis. And this started back on March 23rd. The first mission is the mission you just saw, was the trailer. And then from there, they have to do different filmmaking and artistic missions to basically show everyone what the film is or could be about. And when it's done, like I said, they get that $1 million to make the film. And so last year's winner, Wolf Cop, was ranked by the National Post as the #1 Canadian-made film. So this is the big time for a lot of people who've been working really hard all across this country, trying to make movies on their own. To get a shot at $1 million is a big deal. So how does it work? The mission system is such that on the Cineku website, you upload your videos and you upload your elements, and then the fans get to vote. So you too could be a fan. If what you see tonight and what you learn about the Across All Galaxies team, it talks to you. If you like the idea of this film, and I think you will, and you want to see it get made, you're going to want to go to the website, the Cineku website, and we got a little tutorial video here for you that should make things easy. You go to the website, you got to create a profile. And the reason you got to create a profile is they don't want just anybody, bots or anything doing that. You got to show you're a real fan for the project. So you fill out the profile, and then you are given votes, and you're allowed to vote throughout each of the mission cycles. So at this point in time, we are in the top 30, but voting is closing very soon to get into that critical top 15, which will be announced, I believe, on Sunday night. So again, you enjoy what you see here tonight, go out and vote. Now, there's another element of it. There's critics' choice, there's critics that are involved, but there's also the idea around social engagement. So you're seeing on the screen our hashtag tonight, and if you're so compelled, we're asking you tweet about what you're watching, and we're going to be watching those tweets and actually going to work them into the actual show later on, and we're going to read some of them out to you. So, I know I've talked a lot about the film, but one thing that I said off the top is that there's the people behind the film. You learn a lot about them as you go through this process and as you watch the various missions. And so the second mission was where Sineku asked them to say something about themselves. What makes them different? It's called a differentiator. We're going to roll that, and then we are going to meet some of our filmmakers. So if we could roll that video, please.
Order. You apes have been accused of intergalactic trespassing. How do you plead?
Not guilty!
Please, Your Honor, sir, we're but humble entertainers scouting locations for our next film.
Entertainers? We've heard nothing of you. Bring out the differentiator.
I've directed dozens of live-action and animated films. Give me a week and I'll build you an empire out of pixels and plasticine.
Somewhat amusing. Next.
I've been acting since I'm 6. I've produced Elvis's best films. I get done.
Promising. Next. Give him the anal probe. Ah, this one produces nothing but words. You are hereby sentenced to death. Or to make a feature film entitled Across All Galaxies. And a TV show. And a web series. And a podcast. And an erotic novel.
So with me today, clearly they're getting set and they're getting ready for the big show. We just had to change cameras because we had a bit of a technical issue here. But Elvis Dean, director, graphic designer, and one of our filmmakers, and Sarah Miller. Thanks, guys, for taking a little time out of your prep to be on the pre-show.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for doing this.
No problem.
We're really happy and nervous and excited to be here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys what your favorite mission to date was. I'm sure right now the live show is not that, but if you had to pick a mission, Elvis, that you enjoyed the most so far, what would that mission be?
I think it was the concept art because we got to imagine a little bigger than we might normally have done. We were able to hire a bunch of artists that created our world so that we could see it in a way that we like. Yeah, bringing it out of our imagination and putting it into something that other people can look at.
Yeah, and maybe I know we got some of the concept art. We got a video roll of some of that concept art, so we can put it up. But talk to me. It says you're a graphic designer. Did you do the concept art, or did you have someone else do that?
I described as much as I could for the artists that we got because I'm not a very good artist, so I figured I'd leave it up to professionals.
Yeah.
The best product that we could. And yeah, we're really happy with the results of these things. They look awesome.
Yeah, the art is great, and just one more reason why we want people to bring it to life and bring it to reality. Sarah, what was your favorite challenge thus far?
I liked the Another Angle challenge. That one really threw us when we first got it. We were like, what are we going to do? After about 20 minutes of brainstorming, when we came up with film noir, it was like, let's run with this. It was so exciting. Who does a film noir with an alien detective? And now we got so much great response from that. We're almost thinking we need to write that screenplay and make that movie too.
We're going to be showing everyone that just a little bit later, and I know that it was something that got great responses from everyone, so clearly it was done well. So these guys got to get back to the set. They got to get ready for the live show so they don't make mistakes like I did when I forgot to put the microphone to Elvis's mouth there. So what we're going to do is we are going to show a little bit of video, and this is actually Separation Anxiety. This is a trailer for a film that we had going on. Okay, so we're going to go to Separation Anxiety. This is a trailer for a film that that these two produced. And Elvis, you had said to me that this competition let you dream big. Talk to me about what that meant, and a little bit about Separation Anxiety before we go to it.
Separation anxiety was something Sarah and I wrote about 2 years ago, and it was paid for out of our pockets and using the gear that I had in my apartment. So it was like a $10,000, a little less than $10,000 budget. So to be aiming for $1 million is like a very big step up from stealing locations and begging people to come and help us.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here tonight, to help you get that $1 million and get people engaged. So if we're ready, I'd like to roll the separation anxiety video.
I feel like someone's following me.
Following you? Who?
I don't know. It's just a feeling.
All right, so we're now in the green room because we got to let a lot of the talent go out there and get ready for the show. And I am joined by the third member of this filmmaking team, the writer, I think it says you're the social media guy.
I'm here tweeting by myself. Actually, I don't really have a Twitter, so I'm just tweeting to myself. So, yeah.
Are you having fun with that?
Oh, yeah, it's going great. I'm getting great response from myself. Yeah, it's this quick response, rapid fire.
But all jokes aside, Andrew, you are the writer, and one of the missions that they had in week 4 was to, it was called Speechless. Talk to me about what was involved in that.
So Speechless essentially was to do a scene without words. So there's many ways to tell stories, and one of them is with no dialogue. So, which is hard for me because I love to write dialogue. I just write, and then Elvis and Sarah have to like hone me back a bit because I write too much dialogue. So this one, we had to choose a scene that was both visual stimulating and was appealing to the eyes.
Well, like we promised everyone, we would be showing all of the challenges, and so we are going to roll Speechless now for them to see. And they'll be right back, and we'll have a little chat about it. So, Speechless. So watching that one, I got to ask, has this film has it been rated yet?
Just by me so far, which is a good rating.
So I asked your other teammates what their favorite challenge to date was. So what was your favorite mission in the whole Cineku program?
Besides the script writing one, because when I was done writing, it was finished and I didn't have to do anything, it was the Another Angle one.
And that was a fan favorite. Lots of great comments on that. What did you like about that mission in particular?
That one was just the whole film noir. We all love film noir, and just to see an alien in black and white dressed up as a suit. I mean, we had a cigarette hanging out of the alien's mouth for some of the things, and it was kind of up at an angle too, which is it just looked great. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it definitely was beautifully shot, and I would say well written as well. And since we've talked a lot about it, this is the last video that we are going to show. But this was challenge week mission 5, 6, we think. It's called Another Angle, film noir. It's Andrew's favorite, so we hope that you enjoy it as well.
She waltzed in like a warm breeze on a wet Wednesday.
Word on the street is you solve problems.
I solved the problem of her unlit cigarette, but there was probably more.
It's my father, Topher Kettlestone. I was at his place. The joint's been flipped. I think he's been abducted. You know who my father is, don't you? Radio host, Spitting lies over the airwaves to milk his loyal listeners out of all their worth?
Sounds like a man with a lot of enemies.
Enemies? Oh, it could be anyone. He owes money to the worst sorts of gangsters. That girl from the newspaper's always trying to expose his lies, and I heard he's getting goofballs from some crooked doctor. Detective, will you take my case?
Well, Dollface, you've come to the right place.
So I am now joined by three of the actors that we've got on tonight's live program. Thank you so much for being with us. Any of you guys done live television before?
I was on a game show once, so...
So how does this stack up from a stressful fun to being on that compared to that game show?
Oh, this is very fun. Very fun, yeah.
Oh, very, very stressful. Very stressful.
Very stressful. Live shows can be that way, but I guess you agreed to do it. Yeah. So what do you think? You guys went through the run through. I watched you a little bit. It looks pretty funny. What do you think the show's going to be like tonight?
Oh, I think it's going to be really great. I'm having a blast with it. I hope I don't break something like the microphone.
How important are mics anyways, right? Exactly. So I understand, how do you guys know the filmmakers? How do you know Elvis and Andrew and everybody?
Well, Andrew, we do improv together, and he actually asked me if I wanted to be a part of this. And I was an extra in the trailer, but I guess I'm upgraded now, so.
You got some speaking lines tonight. How about you guys? How did you come to be a part of this?
Actually, I'll just take that. There you go. We actually know them through a mutual friend of ours. A guy by the name of Sean Cockman introduced us and told us to check this out, and we submitted ourselves.
Yeah, we knew they were looking for improvisers, and we do a weekly improv show, so.
Yeah.
It is almost your time. I know they got to get you guys in the studio now to get you guys ready. So go on in. You can just walk in that way. And yeah, so basically, as we mentioned in the program off the top, Cineku is a competition. So when we set up this live event, or when Elvis did and the team did, they invited some others to join. And we've got another filmmaker here, a gentleman by the name of Dom, who you can also vote for. Bias being vote for this one first. But yeah, you can vote for him as well. His film is great. Dom, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe what you can do is just, I mean, we've talked a lot about Across All Galaxies. Before we talk about your film, can you talk about what it's been like to be a part of this the Cineku program?
I'll hold it, I guess. It's been absolutely exhausting. We just finished, our team has just finished doing Comedy Coup, the one before this. 3 months afterwards, we're going back into this and trying to stay motivated and continue on and winning these things and staying consistent. It's killer. It's awful.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of work, and I have to ask, I asked these guys why they did it, and they said that a chance to dream big. But I guess a bigger question for you is why'd you do it 2 times? But talk about your film. Give us the pitch. What is your film about, and why should people go check it out?
John Goes to the Olympics is about a man who got handed divorce papers by his wife suddenly, and instead of actually dealing with the divorce, he decides that the happiest time he's ever had is his childhood playing badminton. So he goes on he enlists his 2 friends to help him become an Olympic caliber badminton player. The 2 friends know that he's not going to be able to do this, but they have nothing else going on in their lives anyway, so they need something special to happen, and they help him along as his ex-wife is trying to stop him. It's hard to explain.
Well, it sounds very funny. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, you can vote for them at Cineku. I said that was our last bit, but we really got one more video. The last challenge of the competition was a hype video, and the idea was to hype what happens tonight in the live show. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll that video, and then we're going to take just a short break as we reset in the studio and get ready to bring you Across All Galaxies live. So let's roll the hype, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, wiggle and jiggle. We'll add explosions and parachuting cars. That's what sells tickets.
Why am I doing this? I don't even wear a bikini in the movie.
Actually, Mr. Alien, sir, that's not the kind of movie we want to make. We don't want to cheapen it with sex and gags.
Poppycock. What kind of movie would Across All Galaxies be?
It's a science fiction comedy about a radio show that profits off its listeners who believe in the paranormal and aliens. But the host doesn't believe a word he says on air.
The radio broadcast, true believer listeners, aliens, it's a concept that opens up a universe of possibilities.
Yeah, and now that we've been voted into the Cineku Top 30, we don't have to resort to...
How about we add a jello wrestling scene with this one?
Hey, you can't tell us what to...
Stop putting words in his mouth.
More tit and less wet.
I'll show you more tit.
Not guilty! Silence! You have 1 week to put together a live broadcast of the Across All Galaxies radio show. I want to see all this idea can entail.
A live broadcast in a week. Seriously? Elvis, we're gonna have to...
Looks like the brains of the operation is out of order. Good luck pulling it together without your director.
We live in a world today where everyone argues their opinions like they are facts. Everyone thinks they know the truth about everything. Politics, climate change, which team is going to win the Super Bowl. At a time when everyone acts like they have all the answers, it's hard to say those three little words. I don't know. I don't know. What don't I know? I don't know. Because I have an open mind. I am a seeker of the truth. I am a vessel waiting to be filled with knowledge, experience. It takes a brave soul to say I don't know, and it takes a braver one to look up at the stars and say, give me all you got. Welcome to Across All Galaxies. My name is Winston Barnes, filling in for Topher Kettlestone. Let's seek the truth together, shall we? All Galaxies. As we head towards the date of the messenger prophecy, we've been looking at some of the doozies throughout history. Those great predictions that came true and the ones that flopped like a wet turd. But before we talk about what's happening in the future, let's talk about what's happening right now with the news. Sonar stations throughout the Pacific are reporting massive sounds that rival anything recorded deep below the ocean, louder than the infamous bloop or slowdown recordings. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration say that these are the sounds of icebergs running aground. But similar sounds have been recorded before every major tsunami of the last 50 years. Our sources suggest that these may be the mating calls of the dreaded sea dweller Kalamazoo as he roams the waters. We asked the listeners in the area of the South China Sea report any strange activities that they might see in the waters around their homes. Over 1,200 people reported seeing strange lights in the skies over Milwaukee last week. The dancing and flickering lights were seen across a 12-mile radius. Local officials say nothing out of the ordinary happened, that the lights were merely part of an outdoor rave shining a little too bright. Right. Of course, a big story that's very near and dear to our hearts, Topher Kettlestone, our host, is missing. He's our leader, and this is really not like him to just go missing for a whole week. He went on a fishing trip and has not been heard or seen since. He could have run his car off the road. I personally think maybe he's been abducted by aliens. He also could be in a FEMA death camp. We just don't know. If you have any insight on where Topher might be, if you've seen him wandering the woods or out just alone somewhere, send us a message. Send us a tweet with the hashtag AAGLive for that or any other questions you have, and we'll get to them later in the show. So we're going to bring in our first guest, who is an expert on the future. Not just any future, but the futures that others have foretold. Hank Digman, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, now, Hank, we hear a lot of things across our galaxies, a lot of strange stuff. How do we know when a prophecy is really out to lunch?
Well, I think the best place to look for prophecies that are out to lunch are the doomsday prophecies, because, I mean, the world is still spinning. And what usually happens with a doomsday prophecy is they put a date down. And we've had a number of these just in our recent history. They put a date down, they say the world will end on this day, and when it doesn't, they come up with all kinds of excuses and reasons to push that date ahead. You look at Nibiru 2003 in May. The world was supposed to end. It's 10 years plus later, and there's still people out there saying that that's just around the corner.
Yeah, I heard recently it's going to be the end of 2015. It's coming around the corner again.
So it just keeps getting pushed out and pushed out. And I mean, that's not the only one. You had the Herald Camping, the family there. They put up a billboard saying the world was going to end in 2011. The date came, it passed, and right away they picked a new date.
Did you sell any of your property before that one? Because I know a lot of people did.
Yeah, no. Being that I am a prophecy expert, I've seen this come and go many, many times. And unfortunately, they're hard to believe. The real world-ending predictions, those doomsday ones, are not ones I usually buy into.
Well, so now there's a lot of people out there that, like these people, that they're not experts on anything. Maybe they made it up. Yeah. But what about maybe any great historical figures that might have come up with something like, I mean, we have Nostradamus, obviously, who's
Right.
famous for this, but what about anybody else?
Yeah, a lot of people got into the whole prophecy game, and a lot of them figured that they had figured something out. So one big one who hasn't been proven wrong yet, because his doomsday date was 2060, was Isaac Newton. So after studying scripture, he found that he thought for some reason he had figured out that our world will come to an end in 2060. Clearly, he's long gone. He'll never have to own up to it, and he hasn't been proven wrong just yet.
Well, let's hope he is. I don't know if I'm going to be around for then, but I hope to be.
Yeah.
So, any prophecies you've heard lately that might seem plausible?
Yeah, the ones that I like to follow are the ones that seem very vivid. There's a woman in Lithuania who...
We don't know what happened. It seems like some kind of technical difficulties. Our apologies. Could just be that somebody out there doesn't want you to know the truth about what Hank was saying. Well, let's get back to this prophecy business, Missy. Missy is our producer and Topher Kettlestone's daughter. She's been working on the show for a long time, and since your father's not here, let's get you to fill us in a bit on what the messenger prophecy is all about. What exactly was it that your father saw and what he heard that made him believe that this prophecy is going to happen?
Well, Winston, my father is known for taking solo fishing trips in the lake. He enjoys doing that on weekends in the summer. A few years ago, he was out on the lake and he had what he calls a profound experience. He talked about it the following day on the show live, and I actually have a transcript here of his experience in his own words.
I remember that a bit, but yeah, absolutely clarify that for us, please.
Yeah, okay, so I have it right here. This is from the mouth of my father, not my own. I suddenly found myself in a catatonic state. I saw a light. A warm feeling washed over me. It was clear to me then that they, whoever they were communicating with me in their own way. No words were spoken, telepathically or otherwise, but I felt sensations. I was filled with a warmth, no, a heat, a tingling sort of heat, like vapor-rub in an unexpected place. Then it was gone, and I knew this was a message, and I am the one to communicate it.
Well, we've got some of our own alien experts, the xenoethnographers, as we call them, Copax and Ozma, and they're out in the field right now looking for Topher. They're convinced that he's been abducted, and they're out searching. So, Ozma, can you hear me?
Thanks, Winston. We've been scouring this area for traces of Topher. Nothing so far, but we'll keep on. He's not one to disappear, so we have to wonder about any of the aliens who might have snatched him up before he could fulfill the messenger prophecy. There are a multitude of extraterrestrial races wandering the spaceways, and dozens of them have visited our planet over the last several millennia. Some can pass among us unnoticed, like the Nordics, but there are dozens of varying species of gray aliens, all bioengineered to survive in different environments. Like bees with different tasks and intelligence levels. Long necks, whistlers, stump nose. There are, of course, the non-humanoids like the Falumps and the Deeries, and we've all heard tales of the shape-shifting lizard creatures that have invaded our highest levels of government and society, the Arcturians. We really don't want Arcturians getting their hands on Topher. And if they do have them, well, I don't know how we'd get him back.
Thank you, Ozma and Copax. Keep on looking. He's got to be out there somewhere. For those of you who've listened to Topher's the show for the last 20 years, you know everything there is about Topher. He's a rebel. He's a rabble-rouser. He's a truth seeker. When he founded the show, it changed many lives, including my own. Topher has had many encounters with alien life. And he's put out a few books on the subject, but his latest one is a little different from the rest. Let's have a look.
There are abductions, and then there are sexy abductions. The silver ship glittered in the moonlight as it plunged deep into the dark forest. I thrust myself into the thicket. There I saw it settled in a grove, steamy steam rising from its ion engines.
The door shuddered as it slid down, bathing me in a beam of hot light. And that's when I saw her, all 7 feet 4 inches of gray alien skin, wrapped tight in space leather, her head tentacles rustling gently in the night breeze.
Topher Kettlestone's thrilling account of sex beyond the stars. My Alien Affair. Available in better bookstores everywhere.
It's always interesting to hear about Topher's extracurricular activities. So now that we're back, we're going to bring on a guest, Chef Ward Tipman. Some chefs specialize in cuisines from around the world, but you've got cooking that's just out of this world. Your new book, 100 Flavors from Other Worlds, is in bookstores now. Ward, welcome to the show.
Why, thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm really happy because you've brought some interesting foods with us. We'll get to those in a minute. I want to ask you a couple of questions about alien cuisine, first of all.
Sure.
Let's talk about beef. Are cattle mutilations just an alien's way of grabbing fast food?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they seem to jump in and they can hone in on the exact piece of meat that they're looking for at any given time.
That must be really efficient for, like, if you want a prime cut of beef, you can just zoom right in there and grab it out.
Oh, absolutely.
It's probably a technology we should be looking into, frankly.
We're already studying such things. Have you heard of nanotechnology?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the idea. They shrink their chefs down into a smaller size, and the cow would inhale them through the nose. And then with an excavating party, they would find the piece of meat they're looking for. They would carve around it, and then hold on and wait for re-enlargement.
That seems like a pretty good way of getting it out instead of the whole messy clubbing them on the head and cutting them in pieces. So.
Oh, absolutely. More humane.
Yeah. Let's look at some of this food that you brought here with you. What is this exactly?
Well, these are alien delicacies. You would definitely want to serve something like these if you ever had alien presents come over for a night of television.
Well, what's this one exactly?
Well, this one here is an unhatched egg. Now, not just any egg. This is one of the last surviving ostrich eggs. What happens is we boil it for 3 days, and then we deep fry it in batter. Go ahead.
Just pull some off?
Absolutely. Now you can feel the flavors sitting on your tongue.
It's got a very celery-like texture, I'd say.
Yes. Be careful though, the burn might hurt.
All right.
Are you all right?
Yeah, just great. What about this other one here?
Well, this one here is a delicacy that's only served to the upper echelon alien. You see, if you ever had royals come over for dinner, this particular one is snails that have been boiled alive and added in with their birth sacs on top, just for some color and flavor.
Now,
go ahead, take a spoonful.
I can't help but dig in. It looks interesting.
Oh, get it all in there.
It's quite tangy, actually. It's really quite delicious. Well,
yes.
Thank you so much, Ward, for coming by. It's great to try these amazing dishes, and I'm hoping you leave that behind after the show so I can.
Oh, absolutely. I made this one special for you.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy.
Now we're gonna go from alien cuisine to a cuisine for your best friend.
Not only is your dog man's best friend, it's also your first line of defense against paranormal threats in your home. A happy, well-loved dog can sense evil spirits and alert you to their presence before you're murdered horribly in your sleep. That's why you should feed your pet Buddy Chow, high in nutrients to keep your dog at its sharpest. Buddy Chow. It's the one poltergeists fear.
Michuta kapa Kettlestone. Michoka kita kanomata kupata. Ichato kuata nitakaporak. Ichakatama kurapakata. Ichakapura. Ikapotoko takachinta. Erkupopo takondo. Dugotosh. Idabakata tutucho.
That is some really wild stuff. I don't know exactly what we just heard or saw there, Missy. Do you have any maybe some way that you could decode that audio using your Photoshop and Pro Tools. I don't know. There's got to be some way you could translate it.
Well, Winston, I'm not quite sure how or why that happened, but I'm going to get right on that. We have a team.
He seemed to say Kettlestone, so I'm wondering if it has something to do with your father.
It doesn't seem like it's totally by accident. I'm not even sure how they managed to intercept, but we're going to get right on that with our crew in the back, and hopefully we can give you an update on that later.
All right. Thanks, Missy. For our next interview, we're going to focus a little more on xenopolitics, the do's and don'ts of dealing with your first encounter with an alien species. Some call our next guest the Perez Hilton of the extraterrestrial scene. He's the gossip columnist to the stars, but the actual stars. I'd like to welcome Fillmore Wiggins.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here, Fillmore.
Thank you.
Now, you've talked to hundreds of people who have had encounters with extraterrestrial life.
That's right.
What's the most common faux pas when dealing with a being from another world?
Well, people tend to think, meeting a being from another world, they tend to go gaga over it and, scream and be very afraid. But the thing is, they'd appreciate it if you just kept your cool. Just treat them like anybody else, because really, they're not human, but they're, just like anybody else.
They're
really.
just as afraid of us as we are them.
Oh, yeah, sometimes. But some of them don't register fear. Some of them have, very different emotions you have to be sensitive to. So, brush up on a alien sensitivity course before you encounter any of them.
Is that something that's common at local colleges these days?
Well, at the college I went to, it is. But, not everybody had the same opportunities I've had, so...
All right. We've been talking about the messenger prophecy all week long, and how it might be one of the very first encounters with alien life that'll be filmed and broadcast live.
Oh, wow.
What advice would you have for Topher Kettlestone on what he should wear and how to behave at a historic event like this when meeting aliens for the first time?
Well, it depends whether they're interdimensional beings or intergalactic beings, but there seem likely to be intergalactic beings. And the thing is, some of them don't necessarily, wear clothes like we do, so being nude would be best to take you from evening to morning to whatever. You could have lunch, have dinner, have a business meeting nude.
So Emperor's new clothes is the way to go.
Exactly.
All right. What's the burning question out there that everyone you've spoken to wants to know about when dealing with aliens? What's the one thing they all want to know?
Well, they all want to know, if they, generally know human customs. And the thing is, they're smarter than us. So, remember that when talking to them. Don't think you can fool them. They are crafty beings.
All right. Thank you so much, Fillmore, for coming in and giving us a little bit of advice. Hopefully, Topher's back in time to heed that advice when he meets up for the messenger prophecy.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, we're gonna look at some of the tweets that you guys have sent in. Seems like it's burning up. We've got a bunch of questions. And Missy, let's take a look. Anybody that has questions for AAG Live, here you go.
Well, Winston, it seems like the number one concern on AAG Live is the hijacking of our airwaves, which I would like to say has never happened before on this show, and it must be of some technology that we are not aware of, because our crew is still working on it. We haven't quite figured out how that happened. Beyond that, though, we have a question about the Buddy Chow. One of our listeners wants to know where that is available and what the price is.
It's available on our website. It's definitely, you can get it direct from us. It's $69.99 a bag. But if you can't get it from our website, there's certain specialty stores around most metropolitan areas. You just generally have to ask. It's a fairly specialist product. Not a lot of people think that they have poltergeist until it's too late, and their dog doesn't stop it in time because it wasn't well fed enough.
Absolutely, Winston. All right. So we have another question, or I guess a comment here. What does NASA know about the 13,000-year-old Black Knight satellite in orbit around Earth? Nikola Tesla first found it in the 1800s. I would like to start by saying that we are not affiliated with NASA, and we are not explicitly allowed to speak on their behalf. But do you know anything about this, Winston?
I've heard a lot about it over the years, and I'm not happy that NASA keeps shunning it and pretending that this isn't going on. Because clearly it's up there and it keeps moving. We could keep ignoring it, or we could send something. Instead of sending astronauts up to the space station all the time, we should be looking into this. It's right around us, and it's a shame that our governments are not doing anything about this.
All right, well, let's look at one more tweet here. So we have another viewer who's a little bit concerned about Topher Kettlestone's book, Sexy Abductions. Are sexy abductions merely a way of exploiting aliens, or are there actual stories? Do you know of any actual abduction stories that are of a more romantic nature?
I've read My Alien Affair. Look how worn this copy is. I've gone through it many times. Topher actually had this encounter. I believe him 100%. And the woman, a female alien that he met, was, from the sounds of it, could do things that no human woman could do. Tentacles in every single place imaginable. Just really a bowl of tentacles. And the feelings, sensations that would bring, whew, I think you should give My Alien a fair chance. There's quite a world of erotic science fiction literature out there. This is science fact. The others are all lies.
All right. Well, that's it for our tweet. Well, I think it's time to move on to our next guest.
Yes, our next guest. Over the years on Across All Galaxies, we've heard from many a guest who has had horrific details to tell from experiencing an alien abduction. From spider fingers to spinal implants to unexplained pregnancies, the horrors just abound. But our next guest thinks that's a lot of hogwash and wants to be beamed up. Brenda Jones, hi.
Hi, nice to be here.
All right, you love the idea of aliens, so isn't that a pretty cavalier attitude to have, to want to be abducted?
Oh, absolutely not. It goes back, say, 4 generations in my family. I mean, I would be the 3rd person in my family. If I got abducted, I would be the 3rd person in my family to get abducted. And I take it as an honor, as a member of the human race, to represent our race up in space kind, so to speak.
So what other family members of yours were brought up?
Well, most recently, my Uncle Clem, he was taken and abducted. He was returned, but he doesn't remember much of it. But his John Deere has never come back. We never found hide nor hair of that. And previously to that, my great-grandpappy, well, he was abducted and never came back, unfortunately.
Does that concern you that he never came back? Do you think it was something untoward happened to him, or is it more that he just enjoyed himself and didn't want to come home?
I think he just enjoyed himself, because if you hear the stories told by my grandmother and my mother, he was never quite right here down on Earth. He didn't quite fit in, and I think he would have fit in better up there, up in space, with more open spaces and perhaps a different lifestyle would have been better for him. So I'm so excited about following in my family's footsteps.
Well, of all the people on Earth who could be brought up and studied and communicated with, why do you think you should be chosen out of everyone there is?
Well, I hope if that really was an alien that buzzed in on you there, I hope they're listening, because I am ready to go. I have my go bag in my car. At all times, I have at least 3 months of toiletries on me, so I would be fine with, human toiletries. And I also have an email list set up so that if I do not check in every 48 hours, an email goes out to relevant people to let them know I am not coming back, because once I'm up there, I'm not coming back. I am staying with them for good.
That sounds like you're really well prepared. All right, Brenda, thank you so much for coming by. It's great to have somebody that's looking at abduction with an enthusiastic spin.
Absolutely. I think they've got a bad rap.
All right.
Thank you.
Missy, now, she mentioned that alien again. Do you have any update on what happened with that? Were you able to translate it or decode it somehow?
Well, Winston, I'm happy to announce our team has been hard at work at this, and we actually have been able to translate the video into English.
That's great.
And we can play it live now. Can we get the video on air, please?
We have your Kettlestone. We scanned his mind and it revealed no useful knowledge, and many disgusting proclivities. He has insulted us by making advances on our female crew. He has been placed in confinement. So long as he behaves, he will be returned before the date when this so-called messenger prophecy will be fulfilled.
Well, I guess that explains what happened to him. It's a little disconcerting that he's doing what he's doing up there, but at least he'll be back in time for the messenger prophecy. I know it's not easy to hear these kinds of things about your own father, but at least he's safe.
Well, I'm happy we were able to translate that.
Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. I want to thank you all for tuning in. We only are around because of you, our loyal listeners, the Truth Seekers. If you've seen something strange in the skies, in the woods, at the dead of night, or even in broad daylight, we want to hear from you. Get in touch, tweet us with the hashtag AAGLive, and visit us at acrossallgalaxies.com. So until next time, keep watching the skies.
On the next episode of Across All Galaxies, we speak to Lionel Fitzsimmons, adventurer, explorer, and author of My Week with a Werewolf Wife.
I could deal with the fur. I could even accept that she was bringing home stray dogs. But she would not stop howling. Howling.
That's author Lionel Fitzsimmons, tomorrow night on Across All Galaxies.